everybody, and welcome back to Voices from the Vortex.
Hey.
I am Taylor.
And I'm Matthew.
Hey, it's Fat Matthew.
Allegedly, this all works. Okay.
Yeah. And today we are going to talk about The Angels Take Manhattan.
Dun dun dun. Where'd they take it?
I don't know. This is much scarier though than The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Let me just say, Muppets Take Manhattan, Grand Theft Muppet there, okay? Like, seriously. Does no one else freaked out by the fact that entire film was about how the Muppets steal an entire island? Come on now,
It was an elaborate island heist.
Elaborate island heist. That should be a Doctor Who story.
That should. Somebody stealing an island, that'd be good.
I'm going to write that to Moffat. Next season, guys, Muppets Steal Manhattan.
We should start writing more fan letters to him and to people. Like, hey, this is... Man, listen to our podcast, please.
we should do fan fiction. Like, we should write him stories and be like, publish!
Oh, there you go. Yeah. That'd be good. Okay, so this episode, we say goodbye to the ponds.
We do.
Oh, it was rough.
You know,
so sad.
I have loved the ponds every step of the way.
They were.
Yeah. That's that.
Yeah.
I mean, they were.
I like them too. I was I was a little bit glad to see them go just because they've been around so long. But yeah, it was. I mean,
sure.
It was sad just to it's been years. It's been 3 years, like kind of with these guys, and you see
2.5, almost 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But,
a lot of people will say that maybe they overstayed their welcome, that maybe they were a lot,
Yeah.
Anytime you get a companion and you get stories for a companion, you really do kind of have to stop and go, okay, what is the total usage we can get out of these people, out of these stories? And storytelling wise, it makes sense that you would only have so much you could tell, but they really pushed the envelope because you had at first it was Amelia Bond, it was Amy, and then you had the married couple, and then you had the best friends, and that's 3 seasons worth of stories right there.
Yeah, and there's only so much you could say about Martha, like she's just there for.
There was never enough to say about Martha. Okay, she is the greatest ever. And I will miss her. She should have been the love interest.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
All right, real quick, we're going to recap this episode. Just talk about what happened, and then we'll talk about some interesting things about it that we want to talk about. So first, we see a guy, he's a detective. And,
very noir.
It's very film noir, this episode. They're in New York. He goes into this hotel and he finds out, he sees himself as an old man in this room, and he finds out that the angels, the weeping angels are back, in this episode, and they've got this plan where they have this farm where they keep people there and feed off the energy.
Right, which is a brilliant idea. That's such a clever usage of that character. I think Weeping Angels. That you had never seen that before.
Yeah, I like a little bit getting more into the Weeping Angels because we really don't know what they are. I mean, are they an alien race or what are they really haven't? We're okay, they're statues. We don't really know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
so
that's
cool
every
that
time we see them, it's
them.
different. I mean, have you noticed that every time it was something new? It wasn't the same thing. It wasn't, hey, Weeping Angels, and they pull this trick all over again. No, it was, oh man, we haven't seen that trick before. The hell's going on here?
Yeah, first you meet them, they're creepy, don't blink, and they move. And then, the next time we see them, it's like, oh, by the way, any image of an angel can become an angel. And,
and they can just kill you.
Yeah, they can get just stuck in your eye. And God forbid there's a strobe light going off because you'll see them moving. God, that was creepy. And then in this one, it's like,
creepy.
In this one, it's like, oh, by the way, there's some baby angels, the little cherubs.
Baby angels.
They were cute and super creepy at the same time.
They were awesome and super creepy at the same time.
So we see, the Doctor and Amy and Rory, and they're in 2012 in New York City, and they're just kind of eating a picnic, and he's reading a book, and this book is Melody Malone mystery or something about, and then eventually as they're reading it, they find out it's about their future, which I thought was a cool idea about this book that's like that's about stuff that's just about to happen. And this whole idea of don't read it or it has to happen, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, and that's not a new concept. It's a lot of people have said, wait a minute, this is something brand new to Doctor Who. When did these rules start? And to an extent, I kind of get what they're saying. It's never been, if you read it, it will happen. But at the same time, you have had identified or established continuity where if the Doctor knows something is going to happen for a fact, if it becomes a fixed point in time and space, then it's a fixed point in time and space. You can't stop that. And, that's just a part of that in the book is hey, this is going to happen, and, we can't undo it once we read it.
Yeah. So they, Rory gets taken back to it's the 1930s. He gets taken back to where there's this hotel with the angels. And River is there. River returns, and she is Melody Malone. And we find out she's the one who writes this book after all these events take place.
And, of course, she doesn't know that yet. That's her future.
Right. She doesn't know. So the Doctor and Amy, they find a way to get to New York. It's hard with all I guess because the angels are there. There's sort of these time fluctuations happening, so it's hard for the TARDIS to get there.
Right.
So he finds a way to get there, and they find out what this hotel is, and the Ponds have a plan. Basically, they find a room and they see Rory as an old man. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, Rory, you just died. And it's like, oh well, geez, okay.
Well, it sucks to be me, I guess.
How are they gonna get out of this one? So basically, they decide.
Join us next time.
Next time, huh?
When the Doctor gets us out of this one.
So they decide, well, we're going to run. Okay, so like if they don't catch me, then I won't be in this room. That's okay. That's fine. And then I guess the idea behind that is, well, that might actually work because if they don't, then it'll cause a paradox and it'll poison the well, is what River says, and
right,
which. And it'll make them all die. All their stuff they've been eating, it'll poison them, and they'll all die or whatever. So they run up to the roof, and Rory has this idea. He's like, okay, if I jump off the roof, then
right. If I die, it never happens.
If I die in this accident, jumping off the roof, then I won't die in the room, and everything will be, then it'll cause the paradox or whatever. And Amy decides, I'm going to jump with you. If we're doing this, we're doing it together. Because, if it doesn't work, then I lose you. And Right. So,
a very good pond moment.
Yeah. Very good.
So they leap off the edge, right?
Yeah. They leap off the edge. And it works. It causes the paradox to save the day. But we all knew they were leaving, so we were like, okay, what's going to happen here?
They see the stone, the gravestone in the
gravestone.
Graveyard.
Yeah, Rory sees it. It's got his name on it. He sees it, and then he turns around to look at it, and I guess there was a straggler left behind, an angel who was like in the graveyard. Gets Rory, and Amy's distraught. She's like, the only way I can ever see him again is if I get touched by the angel. And the Doctor says, well, if you do that, because I can't go back to New York, it'll tear New York apart because of all the stuff we did to get there and back and all that.
Right.
So he's like, I'll never see you again. And so she's like, basically, she's sad about it, but she's like, I have to do this. She's like, I don't care that I'll never see you again because she's like, I have to be with Rory. So she turns around, she says goodbye, and she's lost.
She's off. Well, and this is the big thing about this episode. The whole episode is really about, do we have the courage to face, the things that we know is going to happen? There are a couple of moments in there. One of the things we kind of left out was when they first went to that guy's house, the collector. That's where they sort of first find out about, what do you call it? The angels.
Yeah, that thing.
Where they first find out that the angels are doing this thing and that they're there, and and it's interesting because you get the doctor's upset because he reads Amy reads in the book that the doctor's going to break something, and he now it's meant to happen, and it ends up being River's arm. Yeah. And that's a powerful moment right there, but that really does prove that you have to have the courage to face these things. The doctor hates it. He hates facing it, but he's got the courage for it.
Yeah.
And then this is another moment with...
I was going to say, they get this idea to read the titles. And he reads Amy's Last Farewell. And he's like... He flips out,
Right.
That's another one of those things. He knows, this is where... She doesn't see he loses her or something, or he doesn't know what that means, but he has to face that.
You do get one of my favorite Bill and Ted type moments though, with the what do we do? Well, if she's going to write it later, then she'll have to leave us a clue. Look at the titles, and you look at the titles. Very how are we going to get him out of the cell? We'll just have to go in time later and get Dad's keys and put them there. Where? Right there, and then the keys are right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Very, very, very Bill and Ted.
Yeah, I like that. And then at the very end of the episode, Rivers tells the doctor, I'm the one who gives Amy this book, right? Or tells her to write it. He's like, okay, well, I will tell her to write an afterword.
Right.
And earlier in the episode, he rips out the last page because he hates endings, he says. Mm-hmm. So he goes and he runs back to the park where he left the page, and he gets it and he reads it. It's basically this note saying, go back to...
Tell her it's worth it.
Yeah. Tell her, go back to my younger self, she's waiting there for you. Tell her it's worth it. Tell her, she'll see pirates and she'll save a space whale and, all this stuff.
That's about the sweetest moment in the episode right there. But the thing I love the most about that moment is you do see that before, where she stayed up all night and she was outside and she hears the noise of the TARDIS. From the very first episode with Amy, we thought it was a dream. We thought she was dreaming that she heard it the next morning. But she didn't.
Right.
She really did. She didn't dream it. She really did hear it.
Yeah. So a really cool idea here is that this whole time, Amy has known about some of the adventures that she's going to go on.
Right.
As a kid, if she remembers any of these, which I'm sure she does. It's an amazing thing to hear these things from, this guy. That you're going to see a space whale, and you're going to, influence one of the greatest painters ever, and you're going to, fight pirates and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they fought pirates. I always forget about that one.
Yeah, I like that episode. It's a good one.
It's a great episode.
Anyway, so that she knew that she was going to go on these adventures, and then she's like, okay, so... And then she tells the doctor, well, you can go back and see me as a kid real quick, because I know that you did, because, you did, whatever.
Right,
so
because
he's excited. He gets to go back, and because he did. So he gets to go back and see her as a kid
just
one last time
and
tell her these things. And, it was really sweet.
Now, I do want to point out a couple of things about this episode that I really love.
Well, there's a lot to talk about, but...
and then there's a couple of things about this episode I really hate. Listen, I'm the biggest advocate for Moffat. I really am. I think I might be his biggest fan on Doctor Who. Because I really believe in what he's doing. I believe he's playing the long game. I think we're still in the middle of the Matt Smith stuff. And I feel like when we get to the end, there will be stuff that will make all of it make sense.
Yeah.
That being said...
There's still some questions I have about, the previous seasons. I'm like, okay, well, they still haven't answered those.
Well, and that's one of the things.
Yeah.
A lot of what Moffat does is about erasing the past. Okay, so Eccleston and Tennant, there's a lot there. So when we get Matt Smith's first season, we go through a whole season where he basically goes back and he says, you know what, we've sort of undone it. Big Bang 2. Most of it might not have happened. We don't know. And then you get the second season of Matt Smith, where it's the love story, and he thinks he's going to die, and he basically undoes everything. People forget that he's even born, apparently, and that he exists.
Yeah. And then even this season, he, the Daleks forget who he is.
Right. So, okay, so we're sort of dialing back the Doctor's history. Yeah. Okay. But then you get this line that River has, that she was actually pardoned ages ago, that she wasn't in prison for too long because no one's ever heard of the man she killed. Moffat, listen to me. Just listen. I know you're listening to this podcast. I have that big of an ego. So listen to me. For the love of God, dude, knock it off. There's no way you're going to be able to convince me that every single rewrite MacGuffin you're doing, even though it unwrites the stuff you just did a season ago or 2 seasons ago, is going to stick. You can't. She wasn't in prison, but she was, but we had all these adventures with her when she was in prison, but now she wasn't. You can't tell me the stuff you wrote to unwrite the stuff you wrote can be unwritten. I have to believe something you wrote happened. Otherwise, the hell are you doing?
It's not fair.
Okay? Matt Smith's time better fucking count, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it needs to.
It needs to count. So, okay. Whew. Back up. That being said...
We're gonna back way up.
I love the giant Statue of Liberty trick.
Yes, that is one of the things I want to talk about. I have problems with that.
Oh, do ya?
The first is...
Go ahead.
There is no way that nobody was not looking at the Statue of Liberty at some point. And that thing is huge. It's humongous. Mm-hmm. And to notice it in the middle of the city, nobody sees it. I mean, I don't see how it could have gotten to its pedestal to that building. Mm-hmm. I don't see it. You hear it stomping through the city, it's somebody would have seen it.
Right, it Stay Puffed its way there.
Yeah. And then the other thing was, there was the scene at the very end where Amy and Rory were on the roof, and there were several moments where they were not looking at the Statue of Liberty. And I thought, I was just like, as I was sitting there, I'm like, no one's looking at the thing. No one's looking at the Statue of Liberty. No one's looking at it. Like, what's stopping it from reaching over with its big old finger and touching you?
Right.
So there was a couple things there where it just bugged me. And I was like, that doesn't quite work, man.
And I can get those arguments, but I actually get the argument on the other end of this. That the Statue of Liberty is not a weeping angel. It's not.
Yeah, this was an interesting thing they did. Yeah,
it is maybe inhabited by a weeping angel, or it is being affected by a weeping angel.
New trick
they were saying in this particular episode, they said that because there was such a high concentration of them, because they were doing this energy trick where they were sending people back over and over again in the same location, that they were capable of every statue or any statue could be an angel.
Yeah, they were taking them over
it. So the same rules don't necessarily have to apply. People could just be like looking right at it going, oh, I did not just see that. And they keep walking on. What is it the Doctor says about the TARDIS to Mickey? You see a blue box randomly standing in the middle of nowhere. What do human beings do? You keep on walking. You just ignore it. So, no one's going to believe this. It's
you know what? And I did forget that they move faster than you can imagine.
Right. So all it needs is a split second of
where
no
one's
one
looking.
seeing it.
Right.
And it can move Now this is the 1920s, the 1930s. You have a much darker city. And I literally, I mean that. Less light in the city. And it was in an area that, it looked like Old Town, very dilapidated, very run down. So
we can
where
make
it was coming from.
Yeah, we can make excuses for it. It'll work,
Let's
it was just
assume
a little hard.
That's not the thing I have a problem with in this episode. I can believe that the Statue of Liberty can move itself and become a giant weeping angel. Sure, hey, whatever. I can even believe that the little cherubs are capable of running. What? When did a weeping angel ever run? Why do they have little pitter patter?
Yeah, or they're capable of blowing out a match even when they're frozen.
Right, which is creepy.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Which was really creepy and really freaking hilarious. But at the same time, it was like, well, how did he blow? Like if he was frozen. Yeah. But his lips were already in the blowing position, I guess.
The biggest problem I think most people have with this episode is the TARDIS couldn't land because there was so much going on. But it wasn't just that there was so much going on. The TARDIS couldn't land because it wasn't meant to be there. The TARDIS, the Weeping Angels were creating fixed points in time. So the TARDIS was trying to run away from it. So how is it that the Doctor will now never get to go and be in New York City ever again? With the
the only time he got to go the first time was because he went to China and because he read in the book that the guy had statues of the Ming Dynasty, or not statues but vases and stuff. Right. So he got one of the guys in ancient China to write Yowza on one of the vases, so that River would send him coordinates, and it wasn't really clear, but she sent him some kind of coordinates or something. I love when she was the collector guy who was there with her was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, texting a boy."
Texting a boy.
That was great. There's so many good lines in this one too.
I love River. I really do.
Yeah, but that's the only way he got there in the first place. And then it was well, now I could never go back there again.
Well, and I don't think that's what it is. Or he'll
tear New York apart. That was...
okay. First off, they broke the Angels' hold on the city by violating the Angels', power. By Rory had to stay. That was the thing. If Rory left, that would break all of it, and that would have dispersed the Angels. That's what they talked about. That the Angels wouldn't have that stronghold anymore. So, which would be why no one else ever saw the Statue of Liberty move. So, I can get that. They said that one that was left there was a scavenger. They had dispersed after that adventure. So, okay, so it's not going to be so difficult for him to get there again. But the thing that kills me is he can never be with them again, because in the book it says he never gets to be with them again. So, my response to that is, no, I don't think it's that he can't physically be in the city. I think time itself, the flow of the universe, will just keep the two apart.
Yeah.
He might be in that city, in that time, in that age, doing stuff in very similar locations. They just won't coincide.
Yeah, and if they tried, time would
do something. It would keep them apart.
It's not rip the city apart, is what they keep saying. So that's...
It might.
So yeah, that's interesting. One cool thing about this episode is the thing they've been doing this season is the different theme songs, or not theme songs, but title sequences.
Right.
This one was the Vortex was black as the TARDIS flew through it, and then it kind of changed to blue, which was really neat. And the letters were green, which I think were the Statue of Liberty supposed to be kind of.
Yeah. They look
kind of had that pattern in it, of the crown, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I like that. I like what they're doing with that. I think I say that every episode, but I really like that.
Well, they did it for these because they were supposed to be like a movie. But if they're carrying that over, I'd like to see that going on. Going forward, I'd like to say I'd hope they keep this. I really like the change they've done for these, and I hope they keep this. I hope they keep this title sequence stuff going. I hope they don't change it or anything. That would really suck. I'm liking what they're doing.
Yeah, I hope they...
I would especially dislike it if they were like, oh, we're going to do an homage to old stuff, you know, and then they were like completely new titles and stuff like that. Like, it's a new companion. You don't need to redo everything. Just move on.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing, the other kind of question I had was, that was interesting about, well, it was kind of a thing that was interesting, but I didn't really quite, they didn't make it really clear. This time when we see River, she's already in 1938. She's already there, and she sees Rory when he gets there. My question was, like, okay, first of all, why is she there? We find out she's been pardoned, so we know this is like the most recent, or this is the latest in her time period her timeline that we've seen her. Like, the next thing, if there was nothing else after this, the next thing would be the library.
Right.
So she's just in 1938, investigating angels, I guess. I mean, I guess that's what she's doing.
Sure.
Doing her own thing. I mean, I think that's interesting that she's not really... If I had got pardoned, I would be looking for the doctor.
Well, but you gotta remember, all of her time in prison, she got to spend with him, too.
Oh, that's true. He did break her out all the time when he went home.
And he probably, there's probably a version of him in the timeline that knows she's doing this. She's being who she is, which is, she is, child of the TARDIS. She is, part Time Lord, part human. She's going out there, she's looking for things and investigating. That's what makes it, that's why the Doctor gets so angry with her. With the breaking of the, get your arm out of there, you get that out yourself, you fix this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You brought yourself here, you get yourself out because, damn it, this is going to kill someone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I also like how she's got a vortex manipulator, like, so she can just travel in and out of time, through time and stuff. I always wonder, like, when someone has one of those, it's like, where do they get those? There's, I guess, she stole it from a time agent, I'm sure.
Well, remember, she got the one from Dorium. She bought it from him.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So I guess that's still the one she's got.
It could be.
This was the other thing, this was the first sort of timey-wimey episode that we had this season. The rest of them were just, like, normal adventures in one area. Episode 4, he kept taking them, they would do stuff and come back during the same party. And they looked older. Right, but this was the first one that was like... They talked about laws of time travel and, like, things you can do and things you can't do, and, like, how time travel was the problem, not, like, the monster. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So, which I really like those episodes. I think those are my favorite. I mean, stuff like Blink, stuff like the one with Madame Pompadour, where he sees her, like, really quickly, but she doesn't see him, like, for her, like, periodically throughout her life, like, stuff like that. I think that stuff's really cool.
Well, it's a strength to the show. This is the kind of show it can be.
Yeah, the thing I like about these episodes is, you have the TARDIS that travels through time and space. I like the space episodes, but I really like the time episodes,
Right.
Let's see. Another good line. There's a good River Doctor relationship in this one, where it was like, she was like, just you wait till my husband gets home. and those are so great. And then where he's like, the part where he's like checking his hair, like in the mirror before he goes out of the TARDIS. It's just like really clever stuff. It's like, oh yeah, well, last time we saw them, they got married,
Right. What I like that about that, you're right. It's they've got like this thing going on, where it's they're flirting. They're always flirting, and I really like. But now they're married, so it's really important that while they're flirting, they're also trying to present themselves. That's great.
Yeah, it is great. I like River Song. I'm not I like River Song. She's not my favorite sort of thing that's been going on in the show as a whole,
Right.
but I do like her. The one thing that's interesting is it's been 5 episodes since we've seen her. You know, this is the first time she's come back since she hasn't been in this season at all yet.
Right.
Last time we saw her was the last episode where they got married, and then she was sent back to prison, I guess. And then she did a couple other adventures with him. You know, like the other Weeping Angels one was, you know, where she was still with him or whatever.
Right.
And then this is like way later. And really, it's only... The thing that's interesting, though, is really it's only 5 episodes, so it's not that far. But for us, it's like we haven't seen her in such a long time. You know, it's been like a year and a
Yeah,
half
I feel
or
like
whatever,
it's been a very long time. You're right, and that's just the amount of time that it takes to actually get to the episodes. I get what they're trying to do with that they want to try to break it up, that they want it to feel like, okay, you know, you have to want it, you have to really appreciate it, but we're only getting 13 episodes. I know in England it's different. I know in England you don't get much more. You know, like normal episodes of shows or seasons of shows would be like 6 episodes, but over here in America, and I feel like it really does play well here. Over here in America, we're all about 24, 25 episode seasons, and you see a season begin when it begins every year. So I guess I'm sort of feeling like they're taking this really popular show that's getting more and more popular, and they're giving us less and less of it. And I don't know if that's really a good way to go about that.
Yeah. I don't know. Hopefully... Well, they say we're supposed to get more later.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a big year, or coming up. So really, those are all the big things about the show. This episode, you know, I think it's a really solid episode. I think it's a really solid goodbye to the Ponds. Very emotional at the end. I would like to have had a little more. I don't know. These episodes were all very disjointed. They're meant to be sort of singular. They were all, you know, their own movies, their own episode. I would have liked them to have been a little more cohesive, but no, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing with that's the one thing with this season is it's like that they're doing where there's not really an overarching storyline. The only really thing there is we have this thing with the Doctor erasing himself from history, because we saw that with Asylum of the Daleks. You know, the Daleks don't know who he is, and then in Dinosaurs on a spaceship. He scanned him, and it said, you know, unable to identify or whatever, and he was kind of happy about that. So it's like, oh, is the Doctor doing this, or is he, you know?
He's writing himself or editing himself out of history.
Yeah.
Going back into the shadows.
Yeah. One interesting thing about this is River breaks her wrist, and then he uses his regeneration energy to heal it.
Yes.
Which the last time I can remember him using his regeneration energy was in season 2 with David Tennant, and he like blew on the crystal when they were in the other universe and the TARDIS was dead. He said,
right.
He blew some energy into the thing, and he was like, "I just gave up 10 years of my life," or whatever he says.
Well, and it's not. Well, you've seen it since then too. You've seen River used up all of her regenerations to bring him back from death, basically.
Yeah.
And you know, that's interesting you pull that out, because the previous Time Lord stuff would indicate that the other Time Lords are really good at regeneration, at using regeneration energy, and that the Doctor was not. He was not very well trained at it. You do see him, if you remember, at the end of Season 4, he uses his regeneration energy and puts all of the excess energy into the hand. Because he doesn't want to change. He doesn't need to change.
Yeah.
He just needed a little bit to survive, to save his life. So maybe this is a good example that the Doctor, as he's getting older, is just getting better.
Yeah, he kind of figured it out, how he can use it and what he can do. I mean, in that time he wasn't even the really interesting thing about that is that time he wasn't even regenerating. In season 4, he had been shot, so he was like in part of it, and he released the energy into it. And then this time he was like, he just used it, like, you know, he just knows how to conjure it up and use it. One funny thing about this was they find Rory in the room, and he's all old, you know. He looked a lot like old David Tennant.
Little did you know, special guest star David Tennant as Old Man Rory.
As old Rory, yeah. My wife and I were watching it. We're like, that looks like old David Tennant? And we're like, no, that can't be. That's not it.
Wibbly wobbly, timey. What the heck?
Yeah,
that's.
Yeah, we were like, oh no, okay, it's just old Rory. Okay, we're good. It was really, really weird. And another.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. I was just gonna say a funny line, which was
go for it.
Where Rory was like, "I'm sorry, Rory, you just died," and he's like, "No, I'll just." And then they're on the roof, and he's gonna jump. He's like, "What if you die?" He's like, "I won't. I'll just come back to life. You know, when haven't I come back to life?"
Rory. He's sort of the Kenny of the Doctor Who universe.
Yes, he definitely is. He's back he just. He'll die or almost die.
I felt the power of his death in the first season because he was unwritten from history, and you sort of go, kind of saw it coming, but damn. And then he comes back, and you're like, oh man, cool. And then it happens in season 6 once, and you're like, I don't know. And then, you know,
and then it keeps happening.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, and then it kept happening, and then it was funny again.
Yeah.
and then it happened so much it was actually funny. Yeah.
Listen, I think that covers all the bases.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to talk about was just the
go for it.
Just the last scene there where she has to leave, or where she lets the angel touch her and she leaves. The scene, the one thing, every time a companion leaves, it's always like, with the exception of like Martha, she just left because she wanted to, but it's always, there's always a situation where it's like, I'm going to travel with you forever.
No, I'm not. Wait.
No, because something's going to happen to you. And in this one, it was like, it was so quick, Yeah. Like, I feel bad for Rory because he didn't get to say goodbye. And then it was like, as soon as he was touched, it was like 30 seconds and Amy was gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's always so quick, Rose gets sucked into the thing and she's gone, and then Donna's like, she's only Dr. Donna for like a few minutes, and then he's like, sorry, I have to do this. And,
it's the end for you.
Yeah, and then the pawns here, it's like they're just they leave so quickly, and it was really sad. It was a really intense scene, though. When she turned around and she's like, "Raggedy Man, goodbye." And I was just that got me right there. I was like, oh, that goodbye right there. That was hit me right in the heart.
I don't know. It is a very emotional ending. It's always difficult to say goodbye to one of the companions, but I felt like there was a lot of emotional gravitas that wasn't there. A, you knew it was coming. B, you knew it was coming for a long time. C, you knew it was coming and it was going to happen and you couldn't stop it, and this was it, and this was the episode that was promised that it was their goodbye, and that was in the preview, and it's like, there was no surprise. They jump off a building and they're alive, and then they're gone. Well, of course, I knew they were going to be gone.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing for me is, this is my first season watching this on TV. The rest of them I watched through DVD.
Yeah.
And it's been surprising when they leave, but not so much because you're like, well, she only sticks around for this long. Like, you kind of told me. But you only told me maybe, like, as I was, like, halfway through the season or something.
Right.
And I saw it, like, the next couple days, like, But this one, it was like, after last season, they told us, okay, the pawns are leaving in like 5 episodes, and we were like, oh, and then we heard
Countdown to pawn death.
Yeah, and we knew it for like so long that it really wasn't that shocking. And I love the pawns, but yeah, I do feel like they were around for a long time, so it wasn't. You know, it's like you want to go. The good thing about Rose is like if people like her so much is because you didn't get sick of her because she wasn't around for so long.
Right.
She was around for 2 seasons, and that's
one,
why
and she was there with 2 different doctors, so it's like starting over with her on the second season.
Yeah, that too. That was a fun part too. And like Donna, she was only there for 1 season, and she was so great. And it's sort of it's sort of the short and sweet, and also go out on top, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm a little happy to see them go because I'm really excited for what's to come. Because there's a new companion that's coming, and she seems really cool. And that's actually the other sort of through arc for this season is what's the deal with this new companion who we saw in the first episode.
She looks just like a Dalek.
She just looks like Oswin.
Interesting.
It's going to be a big mystery, so I'm excited for this Christmas episode to figure out if they'll give it away at first or not, if they'll just go, hey, here's a new character, and we're still wondering, okay, so what's the connection? And then later, maybe they'll give us the connection. We'll see.
Dun dun dun. I'm really excited to see, to kind of see where they go with that, and is it something that the Doctor is involved in? Is it something that is supposed to happen later on? Is it even close to it, or is it just a random similarity like Gwyneth, who stopped the Gelf, and then Gwen from Torchwood?
Yeah. I think because there was such hush hush about her being in the first episode, that there is something going on. Because otherwise, they would have just been like, they would have just told us, oh well, she's just being an actress in this one.
Right.
But they're being real secretive about what is the reason, so it's like, okay, there must be something going on.
However, anyone who doesn't like the answer just needs to wait a season, because likely Moffat will unwrite it.
Unwrite it, that's right. It never happened. She never existed.
3 seasons from now, the pawns will return.
That's right. The fans have spoken.
Oh, don't worry. Rose is coming back. So's Tennant.
Oh, man.
I come on, Moffat. Live up to my expectations of you. That's all I'm asking.
Please.
All right.
Well, now it is time for... Oh my god, that promo!
Oh my god, that promo! On a
This is a short one. This is a short one. Because they didn't give us much this time around.
Sort of just some establishing character shots.
Yeah, just like a quick succession of images. We have no idea really what's going on. The first shot is of the Doctor. Mm-hmm. You can kind of see he's in some kind of Victorian garb, and so are the other people we see. But
very Christmassy looking garb, actually.
Yeah, that kind of gives us what sort of a time period. There's snow involved. He's like looking at something. I mean, that's the first shot. We don't really know. The second,
I hope he's looking at something. Otherwise, he's blind.
Yeah, he's using his eyes. So what's going on there?
No wonder he dresses himself weird now.
Yeah. So the next shot we see is of Jenna Louise Coleman. Who we know now through the internet and stuff. Her character's name is going to be Clara. Mm-hmm. So she's not Oswin, which is the weird thing. But she's like getting out of a carriage and she's looking up, and so I mean that's it for that.
She's also not blind,
as
she's looking at something. Things.
And then the other shot is of I'm assuming he's the villain. He looked very villainous.
Wait, and it's ironic, by the way, that they would put that one third, because I'm not entirely sure that dude was looking at anything. So perhaps the villain is blind.
I think he was looking down. I think he was looking down, maybe. I don't know.
Was he? Or was he just like looking at the milky white core of his eyes?
Well, yeah, so we really don't have a lot. So yeah, that's all we got.
All right.
I think what we're...
Oh my god, the promo!
Oh my god, the promo. It was quick. Well, that's going to be it for us. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
Hey, thanks for stopping by, all of you, and thanks for chatting with us. Cup of tea.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some time in between these episodes. You know, we get the Christmas one we got to wait for. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have maybe. I know there's some mini-sodes that are going to come, or at least one that's going to come out, and I know there's going to be more promos and more stuff we're going to learn about it. Yeah. So we
want to do a special for that stuff.
Yeah, we'll do a little mini episode that'll come out like almost right before the episode,
and hopefully, we're recording this. I mean, the episode just aired, so hopefully this is one of those things that we get this out right away, so you guys can hear our thoughts on it. I would hate for this thing to get lost in time and space and to show up like a week before Christmas or something.
Yeah, that would be horrible.
Worst possible scenario. So thankfully you're all listening to this like a week from now.
Yeah, it's October and you're all listening to it and having a great old time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't wait for my classes to be done.
Alright guys, we will see you. And one thing I must say, one warning. If you walk into a creepy hotel and the elevator opens for you, do not get on the elevator. Please. Do not get on the elevator.
I don't know.
Last thing I'm saying.
Free room and board for life.
Alright guys, we'll see ya.
See ya.
Bye.